In honor of Pride Month, I have decided to draw one of my favorite lesbian ships, Vi and Caitlyn from Arcane. I absolutely love the art style of Arcane. It is so beautiful. It's one of the main reasons why I started watching it in the first place. I didn't even know there were potential lesbians in it. If I had known that, I would have started watching it way sooner. I mean, I watched all of Atypical just for Cassie and Izzy. I'll watch just about anything if there's some lesbian representation in it. But anyways, let's start drawing now. I love drawing on paper. In fact, it's the only way I can draw. I've tried drawing on an iPad before and I just cannot stand the feeling of it. I have to have paper like on my hand or else I just can't make anything look good. I use a mechanical pencil to sketch because it's way more consistent for me. It stays sharp without me even having to sharpen it. I know, crazy, right? I first drew some grids to help with my proportions. I also put these grids on the reference that I was using. I started off by drawing the head for Vi, and as you can see, it is way too small, but don't you worry, I fixed that. I only had to draw one eye on each person, so I didn't have to worry about the eyes being proportional, which is a big plus. After getting the basic shapes down, I started going in and adding more detail so that when I go to shade everything in or color everything in, whatever, it is way easier and doesn't take as long. Now that the sketch is done, it's time to move on to adding all of the details, which is my favorite part, but it takes so fucking long. I use a blending stump thing to blend everything in. If you draw on paper, I really recommend you try and use one of these. It can completely change how your art looks at the end. There's really only one downside I've found to using one of these. The end is not sharp like a pencil. I mean, depending on which kind you have, you might get one that is as sharp as a pencil, but mine are not, so it's really hard to fill in all of the tiny details and shade those parts. So because of that, I ended up having to go over my line work a bunch of times after using this. I am right-handed, so to avoid smudging everything and getting graphite all over my hand, I worked from left to right. I really enjoyed drawing the bandages around Vi's arm, and it got me thinking, like, why does she have these on her hand? And, you know, if I would have stopped and thought about it for a second, I would have figured it out. But according to Reddit, it's basically like what boxers do to protect their hands. She just wraps it up, which makes a lot of sense. Anyways, I think the bandages came out looking really good, but then we move on to the scary part, the face, Caitlyn's face. This could make or break my whole drawing, really. So because of that, I did not record me drawing this part in because my face was inches away from the paper, and I know I cannot be the only artist who draws like that when they're trying to do very detailed things, like just all hunched over and looking at it really closely. You would not have been able to see anything if I had recorded it. My big head would have just been in the way. Anyways, this is how the face turned out. Pretty good in my opinion. I've never used a blending stump for a face before, so this is a victory in my end. Now we move on to drawing Vi's face and hair, which was equally as scary. I hardly ever draw women because I cannot make them look as good as I want them to be, especially when I'm drawing someone like Vi, who is like really attractive and hot, and I just don't want to mess it up. I spent so long trying to make sure the face proportions are right so you could actually tell that this was her and not some other random bitch. The hair took me forever because of all the details in it, but I was really cool seeing the piece finally coming together. Vi's face didn't come out looking exactly how I wanted to, but I think it turned out pretty good, honestly. Here is the finished piece. This piece took me about 10 hours to complete in total, which is the most amount of time that I've spent on an art piece, like in years, so let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, if you like my art or how it looks, don't forget to subscribe because you'll probably never see me again if you don't.